You are listening the Cody Zan podcast, and this is your host, Cody Zan. For this episode, I would like to create a mini series on how to get unstuck. And for some of you might already know that this is a, a really frustrating situation, getting stuck in life or getting stuck in your career and any domains in life, and you don't know what to do, or maybe lack of clarities or competencies or whatnot. So I like to share some of my personal experience, and hopefully that can make some difference in the way you think about your challenge or challenges. I just want to let you know that I'm on my way to work, and it's freezing outside in Vancouver today. It's about, I think, 4 or 5 Celsius. So I'm driving. So once in a while, you'll be hearing some traffic noises. So for this particular series, my goal is to help you to turn your knowledge into actionable practice. Meaning, like many of us, I've been there many times, is that we are so addicted in learning. And learning is always a good thing. Learning is generally a positive thing. However, when you only learn without applying the knowledge that you learn to make real change in your life, and that becomes an addiction, and that becomes a safe place for you to hide behind the comfort learning, and the knowledge isn't useful, and it's not going to change your life, and it will dig a deeper hole into frustrations, and you just scratch your head and say, what the hell? I learned so many things, but how come my life hasn't changed? Or you feel like my life is changing, but it's just not to the level that I really feel satisfied. And you don't know why, you don't know what exactly it is. And I think that's the realm that I like to help you guys and share some of my experience by going through it myself. So for this episode, the topic I got really excited this morning. I was just like planning my calendar on what am I going to be talking about. And as I'm going just like digging through my knowledge and my I call him my higher self. What do I want to share to the audience, which is you, that can serve you and make the biggest impact in one episode? And all of a sudden, I there's this story which I'm going to be sharing with you. Is that it's about my mother, my mom. She was going through some medical challenges, and I was able to identify something no doctors was able to find out. So I think the title I like to call it, are you solving the right problem? Are you solving the right problems in life? Look, just because you are working hard and making effort into making changes doesn't mean your problem will be solved. Okay, I'm gonna say it one more time. Just because you work hard and put effort into solving problems doesn't mean your problem will be solved. So what I mean by that is the problem that's bothering you, or that you consider as a challenge may not be the problem that's relevant to it. And I'm going to tell you this story to bring the point home at the end of the video. So keep listening. I remember about maybe late 2000, early 2010, about 2010, 2011. I was a med student at the time. I was in my last year of medical school, and I was in a transitioning. I was in a transitioning period, going through the first 2 to 3 months of rotation. So in medical school, at the very last year, all the medical students will be going through a training called residency. And the residency, in my hometown at least, back in China, was 1 year, the residency. And I was fortunate to get assigned to emergency and internal medicine. So I learned a lot. I've seen a lot of different cases that I've never seen in my whole life in that short period of time. And so that's when I was when I just became so curious. Something about medicine that was the way it's being practiced, just such a fascinating um, system that draw me to it. And at the same time, my mother, at the time, she was suffering from a daily dry cough. And the dry cough was so bad to the point that she was admitted to the emergency room multiple times without getting proper help. And she has some history with her lung, which is, well, a separate topic, but she has some history in her lungs in her early childhood. And other than that, she's healthy overall. But this dry cough was getting worse and worse over a period of 3 months. So every single night, I remember when I go home and visit her, she was always keeping a couple tissue with her, just in case she need to cough, and it wasn't good, and she wasn't getting enough sleep. She didn't sleep well because of the dry cough. So she went to a doctor, which is a ENT specialist, or ear, nose, throat specialist. The doctor suspected she might have something in her throat and sent her to the endoscopy, which is a technology where they put a tiny tube with a camera to look into her vocal cord. And the particular procedure is called laryngoscopy. And a day later, the doctor set another appointment with her and told her that she has multiple cysts and nodules in her throat that might require surgeries to remove them and do biopsy. And that was kind of scary. And for some of you, if you have your family that's going through the same thing, I definitely can relate to it. And it's not a good feeling. It feels hopeless. It feels like you can feel their pain, but you can't do anything about it. I've been there. So what happened was she was kind of hesitated. My mom, she got hesitated about the surgery to move forward, because what happened after the surgery, and would the surgery cause her to lose her voice permanently? All kinds of different concerns. And some of the concerns are real, because if you remove those cysts from from the vocal cord, it might cause her to sound differently. And I was a medical student. I I didn't have the confidence to make medical decisions. But at the same time, somewhere inside my gut just didn't buy the diagnosis. I thought, well, I mean, just because she has cysts in her throat, but it doesn't mean that's what caused the the dry cough. Well, I mean, and also I can see from a general public, when you don't have enough medical knowledge, you can also see that, oh, this is so obvious because it's something in her throat that shouldn't be there. So by removing it, the problem will be solved, and it's so logical and it's a sound theory. But all I can say is this: I don't know why, but I remember when I was in emergency room, when I was in emergency, I've seen so many cases that patient will come in with headaches and they got CT scan or MRI and nothing happened in their brain, and or sometimes they might find out something else that's unrelated to their medical problems. So in medicine we call it unrelevant medical findings. So so to me it just something is missing, and nothing is it's not adding up to the conclusion that the cyst would be the main cause of her problems. And then I did some mini consultation with my mom that day after the doctor's visit, and I gone over her medications. Well, and I find out she actually taking some high blood pressure pills, and she has a mild low grade high blood pressure, and she was undermanaged by this one particular medication. Um, it's a ACEI it's an ACEI agent, or angiotensin converting enzyme inhibitor, which is a type of anti-hypertension medications. So I, well, my first thought was most medication have side effects. So I'm gonna study this medication and see what I can find. And surprisingly, I did some studies on this on her medication, which is Ramipril, and there's the interesting studies that show in Chinese population particularly, and my mom is Chinese, and I'm Chinese too. And in Chinese populations, it's 5 times more susceptible to induce dry cough, which is fascinating. I mean, I don't know why, particularly in Chinese population than any other ethnicity. But that sounds exactly what it was, but I'm not sure. So the best way to go about it was to experiment. So anyhow, I checked my mom's blood pressure, and her blood pressure was within normal range. And I told my mom, I said, hey, mom, I think maybe it's coming from the medication, but I'm not really certain. But how about you stop that medication for about a week? Because she was taking a low dose Ramipril. So when you're under lower dose of medication, if you're off for about a week, and unlikely there will be any medical emergency. Well, but of course, I mean, I was a med student, so I was able to give her some close monitor, and and she did it. She stopped the medication for about 2 weeks eventually. So, and I can tell you, every single day, her symptoms got better and better, and I can actually see her energy and her complexion start to become more vibrant every day. So I was really happy at the end. So 2 weeks later, she was totally have zero dry cough after 2 weeks of stopping the medications. Well, so what's the story here? So I think my point is this. When we apply the same concept in life, how many times that we assume the problem was the problem without further examining it? Are we even solving the right problems sometimes? Especially a big problems that we faced. It can be finance, it can be relationships, it can be career, or maybe just making decisions. Whatever that means to you in your life, that matters. I'd like you to really ponder that. Are you really solving a problem, or you're solving a symptoms of a bigger problem? So in this case, my mother had a dry cough. So initially, dry cough, which is the symptoms, and the analogy is, if something. So I'll take a random example. If somebody were get into some sort of debt, so it's a financial issue, or debt problem. And as you dive deeper, if you use the same concept, and the dry cough is never the cause, it's a symptoms, meaning it's a phenomenon. And a debt is a phenomenon of something deeper. And it may be finance, or it may be ability of, or maybe it's just a matter of skills. Maybe the person have a poor skill of making money, or maybe the person have issue with managing money, or maybe the person doesn't maybe have a spending problems, or whatever it is. So I'd like you to really look deeper into your problem, and not just make the assumption of the first assumption would be the answer. I'd like you to be really curious. Be curious about what is the problem here. Really dive deep. And I guarantee you will find something more surprising than you thought. And you may be solving the wrong problem. That's why you're not seeing the result in your life. Well, go back to the first podcast, which is I did mention about the reflection of life. So your reality is the reflection of your life. So it's gonna be something. It's gonna be something else that's causing you to not able to get the result that you're looking for. So I'd like you to look into it. I'd like you to let me know how it goes. So that means leave some reviews. I love to read about your thoughts. I love to read about your stories. And as I said, I love to build a community. And hopefully you can be one of them. And I'll talk to you into the next episode. And make it a good day. Bye-bye.